This is our final design project for section A11 of ECH1, and our group members were Adam, Erick, and Navin. So starting out with our process flow diagram, we started with 120 grams of Peru green beans. We used a fresh roast roaster to get a total of 95.8 grams of roasted beans. This means 24.2 grams were converted to volatile gases and chaff. We only used 60 grams of beans for the competition, and the remaining 35.8 grams went to storage. We used a coffee grinder to convert the beans to dry grounds, which were then input into a French press brewer along with 1,080 grams of water. The brewing process produced 990.7 grams of coffee, which means 149.3 grams were left over as spent moist grounds and volatile gases. Our entire process resulted in 990.7 grams of drinkable coffee. Next, for our mass balances, we started by heating 1,226 grams of water to 93 degrees Celsius. We used 1,080 grams of water for our brew, which means 166 grams of water was evaporated in the heating process. We used 120 grams of green beans for our roast, which resulted in 95.8 grams of roast beans, and 24.2 grams were output in the form of volatile gases and chaff. Our brew produced 990.7 grams of coffee, which means 149.3 grams were output as spent coffee grounds and volatile gases.
120 grams of Peru green beans for 12 minutes used a total of 0.34 kilowatt hours to produce 95.8 grams of beans. This results in 0.0035 kilowatt hours over gram of roasted beans. We use 60 grams of beans for our brew and therefore use 0.21 kilowatt hours of energy for our competition brew. We heated 1,226 grams of water to 93 degrees Celsius, resulting in an energy usage of 0.1 kilowatt hours. We used less than 0.1 kilowatt hours of energy in total to grind all of our beans. We used the French press for our brew, which means that there was no energy used as it was all done manually. We chose the French press specifically to minimize our energy usage for brewing. We used a total of 0.31 kilowatt hours of energy for our competition brew. Roasting. Peru. Green beans. Fan 8. Power 9. Time 12 minutes. Goal. After trying other bean types and roasting levels, we decided on these settings to try to achieve a relatively dark roast that minimized the sour citrus flavor. We decided to use Peru green beans because they provided a good balance of flavor without being too acidic. TDS 0.71%. PE 11.72. Brew ratio 18. We were aiming for our brew to have mostly sweet flavors, which is why we used a brew ratio of 18, and we tried to achieve a TDS of around 0.9 to 1%. Outcome, we overshot our intended TDS, which resulted in our brew being lower on the chart.
Going into our sensory evaluation and scoring, our final brew was quite bitter and had a slightly smoky flavor. It was not very sour, which is what we were hoping for. However, it was also not very sweet, likely because of the TDS being so low. It had a pretty smooth mouthfeel and didn't taste too watered down, and we gave it a blind taste score of 15.36 and a final score of 49.5. Some of the future changes we could do are probably achieve a higher TDS, around 0.9 and 1, which would theoretically result in a sweeter coffee. We could attempt to achieve this by using alternative grind sizes or even alternative methods of brewing. In Lab 8 and 9, we experimented with the effects of flow rate, filters, and grind size on TDS. We could use this data to hopefully get a TDS of around 0.9 or 1. Initially, we were also hoping to use the barley variation of the beans for our brew. However, we weren't able to get a roast that matched our intended flavor profile. In the future, we would probably spend time perfecting a roast for the barley green beans, as we enjoyed some of the brews that utilized this type of green bean.